coming back to you mentioned that you transitioned from the brand side to digital side.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between the two? Because I remember when we had coffee the other day, you were like, they're isolated, but they kind of work together,
Yeah,
but they're
yeah.
two almost separate departments that need their own kind of focus. So combining them is a big job to have all at once.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between developing the brand strategy and the digital strategy?
Right. So for any brand, it starts with its brand identity. Of course, it comes anything that you can touch and feel and look. So starts with your logo, your color palettes, what are your fonts, what are the guidelines for different things, your tone of voice. Every brand has a tone of voice, and it should have a tone of voice if it's a good brand. What are the words that come to your mind when you think of a brand? So how I like to think is like, a brand is the same like the personality of a person. What clothes are they wearing? What words do they speak? What language? What is their accent? And I actually did this exercise with my team members once as well, and it was pretty fun where we said, okay, this brand is a person, now dress him up. So that whole thing, what that person eats or drinks, where he hangs out. Similarly, so all of these things are like a brand's persona. And then their potential guests or their potential clients, let's say, if it's not hospitality, what are those people who are the consumers for that brand? What are their personas? Where do they come from? Where do they hang out? What are their spending habits? All of those things combined is your brand's profile.
Okay.
I think it's imperative for a brand when they're starting out to really know these things. I know it's very common now. Everybody knows you're starting out, oh, I have a brand. Can you make a logo for me? Okay, these are my colors. But there's usually no thoughts. I mean, of course, there are great brands here, but sometimes I see that there are no thoughts behind that. And when there's no thoughts or research behind a creative process, you're stuck then with something for a long time where it really doesn't reveal the true identity of your brand.
Okay.
Or something that could have been much more is just limited because now, okay, these are the colors, now we have to stick with them. See?
Sure.
So that's really important to develop all of these things first before you go towards the digital marketing or the digital strategy.
So when you're, sorry to interrupt you,
Yeah.
but so when you're developing a brand, it's not about the creative process of developing that brand, what would look like in the colors. It's the research on your target market that
Yes.
will influence what the brand should
Absolutely.
and should look like. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's speaking to those people, and ultimately, if they're your consumers, you want it to speak to them because it needs to speak the same language that they speak.
Yeah.
But it's really such an incredible process. I love doing it. So for me, okay, so there's this brand. This is what it looks like. These are the logos that I develop. What are the colors? Because, every color has a certain emotion that is invoked when you see it.
Sure.
So even when we're designing and I'm designing something for online, if it's something that I need to invoke calm emotions, peace or serenity, I'll use the colors and fonts that go with it. So there, all of that comes in handy. The education part where I actually did study in university, but yeah, again, with training as well, with my experience. So anyway, so with colors and fonts and everything, so you're playing with it now. And then comes your brand's tone of voice, let's say. So this, again, it's not digital. Now, there's a big confusion here.
Okay.
Sometimes, for example, there's a brand and if, let's say, give an example, it's a small business setup and have someone, they're like, okay, develop a digital strategy for us. Why don't you manage your social media accounts? Unless you have a strong the branding strategy, which is in place for them, you're doing yourself a favor because you now are telling them, look, follow these guidelines, right?
Okay.
Before they start writing content, they need to know what is the brand's tone of voice. Now, that's a very important thing. I can write in my style the way that Saniya speaks. You can write the way that Khalid speaks. But what does the brand speak like? There's actually a lot of research behind this as well. A brand's tone of voice could be poetic, right? Okay. So if I'm a luxury brand, but I'm a luxury, let's say, skincare brand or a perfume brand, my tone of voice could be poetic, where without being too cliche, because I'm all that luxury, I'm speaking in words where I'm encapsulating their imagination using, words and phrases and poetic sentences. But then again, a brand's tone of voice, if it's a luxury brand like a hotel, but I want them to... for me to appear, friendly and approachable, I need to change the tone of voice. So then in those guides, there are actually words that you tell them, okay, use words like this. So of course, it's not like I can anticipate what exactly the content will be for the future people to write about, but I can give them guidelines. Then there's some words, don't use these words. Like, for example, some brand would say, don't use the word luxury. Even though we are a luxury brand, don't, and do's and don'ts. So easy for them to understand. Yeah. do's, the words that you will use are these. So it's important to develop all of that before you start writing content like blog, because you see, this is the basics. So it's like a structure where it's like I always think of it as a car where you actually having a structure in place. Then you put on the roof and the windows and you add, then you decide the colors. Unfortunately, mostly people start with manage my social media.
Really?
Help me with
it. seems to be flipped. Like usually people
it's
focus
usually
on the
is
other way
flipped.
around. Okay.
So then it's in the hands. One person will help you with it. Would this stick with you for a long time? You never know. Maybe it's project to project. So it's always nice first to have someone develop your brand strategy.
Yeah.
You have all of your areas covered. You're secured now. So you get your done work by freelancers in the future. You give it to agencies. You do it yourself. You know what your brand is.
Yeah.
And even though you've given birth to this brand, there's some things that need to be developed. So it's like a guideline that has to be in place. So I think that's imperative. That's the first step.
Yeah, that's the foundation. And then that translates from there. That's when the digital comes in. So what's the digital strategy entail? Is that just about like the content that you're going to be pushing out and where you're going to push it? Or is there more to a digital strategy than just like a content calendar, for example?
Right. So now when it comes to digital marketing, it's just we're in this whole new world that is digital. There is each and everything there, right? Yeah. And even that day we spoke about it, how, anybody who wants someone to work for them or to, help promote their brand, there's unrealistic expectations often at times because they want, I want each and everything. No, what does your brand need? Where is your consumer, right? And start with the basics. So once you have that branding in place, now comes your digital part. So it involves everything. Of course, if you're a brand and if you're selling online, it needs to start with your website. Your website needs to be there. So there should be someone who's managing it. There needs to be proper updating of your products, managing them. The website should be easy to navigate. The whole process of payments, etc. Somebody's taking care of that. Again, it's not just that day and age where you can put up a website and you can just sit back and relax. There has to be SEO in place so that your website ranks better in Google.
Yeah.
And for that, you have social media referrals, you have third-party content links with that, you write blogs as well, and of course, you work on the SEO. Then your social media channels, it's just taken the whole world by storm because, again, it seems approachable. This is where you go for a brand's, human-like personality. You want to see more, human-like, friendly content, and you want to understand a brand more. You check out their social media pages, what they're all about, what they care about, what they're saying every day. So you should be present there. Again, the whole digital strategy needs to be in place. Then you develop a content calendar, decide which platforms you want to be on, where your consumers are. So it's just a whole level of it. There's email marketing.
Yeah.
It's just that algorithms keep on changing, like, for email marketing as well, for example, how Google has, Gmail has categorized your important and the promotions and the brand messages. There's a separate,
like a separate tab for it.
Tab. So, they're making it so hard for brands to reach people because, things will automatically land up there and I never check it.
Yeah, never. Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Similarly, with Instagram and Facebook, the algorithms keep on changing because people complain and ultimately they want it to be a people's platform, So they're pushing for brands' content to be displayed less compared to people's organic content more, unless it is engaged with more. So there's so many things that you need to do. You need to like and comment. And now on Instagram, I was reading even save posts for Instagram to be able to show your post more to people in the newsfeed, even though you're following them. Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
That's interesting.
So it just keeps on changing, and the algorithm works in a way where you really need to work harder with respect to content and everything that it shows in the newsfeed. But the most important thing, again, yes, paid search is there, sponsored posts are there, people want to invest money to have more followers. At the end of the day, if you don't have anything important to say, you're going to lose out. Even if you have a lot of followers, but you don't have a message that you have to say, you don't have a strategy in place because you didn't really think about it beforehand, you're going to ultimately lose out. How many product pictures can you post?
Yeah,
people will not be interested.
Yeah.
So in order to grab their attention, that whole personality of the brand when it was done at the branding stage, things that my brand cares about, things that my brand wants to speak about, then comes the digital strategy. So then I'll sit and I'll say, okay, so my content calendar will be based on these principles that my brand cares about. So, it has to be information about my product. Mm-hmm. It has to be, for example, if I'm a skincare brand, it has to be informational posts as well about skincare, different types of skincare or information that I'm giving them, which is authentic. It's actually adding value. But again, my brand is being promoted in a subtle way.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you partner up with the right influencers who are actually genuinely liking your product. So there's different things, but there has to be thinking and thought behind every process.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot more to it than just, like you said. I think you made a very good point about you can have a lot of followers, but what's
Yeah.
the longevity of this product, this business, this so on. And I think the difference between what makes the successful ones are the ones that have followers, but you feel that you're part of a community in that following.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Everyone here, we all support this cause or this brand for this reason.
Yes.
It's not just I like this product and that's it. I
Yeah.
think that's a very good point that
True.
I didn't consider before, that there has to be a clear message behind it, and it all, like you said, starts with the branding.
Yeah.